Hello everybody. So happy you're joining me again. Bin Mints, Girl Scout cookie. You know what I just realized about these? These should be the official cookie of the Hare Krishna movement. Why is that? Because as I was eating one of these, I thought to myself, you know what it doesn't contain? Eggs. And I knew for a time one of the trustees of the whole Hare Krishna movement. He even met George Harrison. He was he was an Ashkenazi Jew, or he still is an Ashkenazi Jew, but converted to, the Hare Krishna movement, Krishna consciousness. Yet he's 100, will never let you forget that he is an Ashkenazi Jew who got into Mensa and has an IQ of 145 or something like that. He never lets you forget that. But he told me that it's not just not eating meat. You can drink milk, which is kind of funny because cows suffer. If you care about cows being sacred, well, they suffer in the milk industry and they live about only 3 years. But you can drink milk, that's okay, even though it's causing suffering to Krishna's favorite animal in the whole world. He was a cow herder. But you can't eat eggs. You can't eat eggs because they come from an animal. And I said, well, fruit falls from a tree and then the egg falls from a chicken, right? So why can't you eat the egg? And you know what he said to me? Would you eat a human egg? And I say human like that. That's how he said human. You say human. He's from New York City or something, Brooklyn or something like that. And that made me pause. And so I stopped eating eggs for years and years and years. But here's a cookie that if you're in the Hare Krishna movement, or if you follow the Vedas in the Hindu religion, you're not supposed to eat eggs, but you can drink milk, even if the cow suffers. Isn't that funny? I think that's really funny. Anyway, so all you Krishna consciousness people out there. And I thought I would start this off a little amusing because I've mentioned in a previous video that there's no way that Joe Biden could or should run for president because of his fondling. And in the news, we're hearing about him touching older women, grown women. And Whoopi Goldberg said it's okay because he's a toucher. And Mika Brzezinski, she's just going to lose her mind if he doesn't touch her hand or caress her hair and give her a kiss. She's just going to lose her mind because these people think that Biden is the only candidate that can beat Trump. And I'll tell you, there's 2 candidates that could possibly beat Trump, 2. And one I think is smarter than the other, but 2. Bloomberg and Michelle Obama. Those are the 2. But somehow, speaking of sacred cows, Biden is some kind of sacred cow. And they all have to pay homage to him. And somehow, all of these Democrats who started the whole Me Too movement and all these women who are on board with the Me Too movement are totally okay with I was going to combine Biden and fondling together. Bondling. They're okay with this because, as they've said, there are some people who, if this is their way, they've always been like this, then it's okay to touch and fondle and to whisper in the ears of women. But the thing nobody's really bringing up is, and I just, went on YouTube and there's about hundreds of these videos of him fondling little girls. I said this several videos ago that there's no way, because there's so much footage of him out there whispering into the ear of a little girl. You know how irritating that is? I don't know if you know how irritating that is. you have your hair lying against your ear, and somebody's whispering with their hot breath into your ear and caressing your hair, and they're holding you a little close to them. It's really perverse. It's really frightening. And as somebody who's experienced this, not just as an adult, but as a little girl, it's very, very scary. And that whisper in your ear, it's so, the feeling of the breath, I can't describe it. It's the kind of tickle that scares you. There's a kind of abusive tickling that some of these perverts do that takes your voice away from you. And this is kind of turning into a little bit sad, huh? You can't even scream because it's so terrifying that you're too terrified to scream. And you feel, that's how you feel when a man is doing this to you, especially when you're a little girl. I mean, as an adult, it's like, this is a jerk, get away from me, ooh, and you can kind of deal with it much better as an adult. But when you're a little girl, you're supposed to be polite and you're supposed to do what your elders tell you to do, let alone the guy who's the vice president of the United States. These little girls know that they're in the presence of the vice president of the United States. So they stand still and they're polite, and they're probably raised to be very polite. And there's a certain honor that that office holds. So they are in a position, they are in a caged position. There's nothing they can do. And some of the fathers and grandfathers you can see trying to pull their granddaughters away from Biden. This is the issue. This is even worse than the Me Too movement, where guys, it's predominantly older men or men versus grown women. And all these women are making excuses for him. Now, I remember a person I was affiliated with at one time. He was touching his friend was touching the asses of the women. And I said to him, I said, my sister got very upset. He touched her and he touched mine. Oh, that's just the way he is. So if a guy goes through life and never does that, and then he does it once, he goes to jail, right? Me Too movement. But if he always has done it, then that's okay. And there's a psychiatrist I heard talking about that if somebody is like this and they've always done it, they are a pervert. They're just they do it all the time because it makes their behavior normal. It normalizes it and people accept it. And so people are used to that person always doing it. So when they cross the line, you don't even know that they've crossed the line. It's a get out of jail free card is what it is. And that's really scary. So I'm going to leave some links to some of these videos. I've watched them. I don't want to watch them again because they're very disturbing. And there's some other things bad about Joe Biden that maybe you have forgotten, but I didn't. Let's see. Other than he plagiarized the life story of a guy named Neil Kinnock. His family, apparently he's the only one that was a success. And this is in the British Isles. And his family were in coal mines, and he was the first one to get out of the coal mines. Kind of like Tom Jones. Tom Jones, I think when he was 14 or something, his family their livelihood was coal mines in Wales. And he lived in row houses without hot water or electricity. And, to heat the water, they had to put it in the fireplace. Well, he got tuberculosis. Of course, he didn't Joe Biden didn't steal Tom Jones's story. He stole Neil Kinnock's story. But Tom Jones is a little more interesting. If you know Tom Jones, you know that he's got this really powerful voice. And if you ever hear him sing Thunderball from 007, Thunderball, wow. I mean, that is a voice. That is a voice for the ages. But when he was 14, he got tuberculosis. And that saved him from going into the coal mines. You know, he married his wife at 15 and proposed to her at 12. And he was still married to her to the day she died. She died of cancer a few years ago. But somehow, and his mother cured him of tuberculosis, believe it or not. We wouldn't have that voice today. I mean, we wouldn't have had, great songs like Delilah, why, Delilah, my, Delilah, it's like, it's such a beautiful song. And that voice, if he had gone into the coal mines, he probably would have died when he was 50 from lung cancer or something like that. Oh, and he's white. How does that even happen? Well, anyway, that's one thing about Joe Biden. See, much more interesting story than Neil Kinnock's, though he stole Neil Kinnock's, not Tom Jones's. But I told you Tom Jones's story because his story was actually kind of like a miracle, a little more fun. But there's something here, though. Let me read this to you. There's a couple more things about Joe Biden which should disqualify him. This is what this whole video is about. It's about disqualifying their main candidate, the candidate they think is going to beat Trump, which I don't think so. I don't think the voters of this country, I don't think they're going to vote for Joe Biden. But he said that, the airport in New York City is a LaGuardia or JFK or something like that. When you go into it, it's like being in a third world nation. You don't know where you are. Because this guy is actually really stupid. And he said about the AR-15 that he can't even shoot one of those things. He tried to shoot one of those things. He can't even do it. They're too hard to shoot. So what's easier to shoot is get a shotgun. Get a shotgun. So the AR-15 is a harder to shoot gun than the shotgun. So buy a shotgun because it's easier to shoot. There's a genius in that I don't know if you're catching on that one. Anyway, and here's another one. Okay. This was after he was picked to be Obama's running mate. He stated this. I mean, you got the first mainstream African-American, very politically correct, African-American who is articulate. Let's read that all over again. I mean, you got the first mainstream African-American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice-looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man. Should I say that again? Should I read that again? And they say that Trump makes two stupid mistakes and he doesn't speak like he's intelligent. He's a New Yorker. And you see, he speaks in a language that he can convey a lot in a little bit. That's how he gets so many things done. And he can talk to everyone and everybody can understand him. And he doesn't talk down to people. But let's read this again. Wait, I gotta drink a little water here or some tea. I'm so thirsty. I have to read this again. I've uncovered a lot about the Clintons, who were Obama called Bill Clinton a racist because he said that, and they are racist, and they're connected to segregationalists just like Al Gore, Orville Faubus, and F. William Fulbright and also Robert Byrd. But during the election, how Obama got to knock Hillary off was that he painted Bill Clinton, who was called the first black president, as a racist because Bill Clinton said that, back in the day, he would be serving us our coffee. So, that was a racist statement, I'll have to agree, And Hillary with her calling the black men super predators that should be brought to heel, not HEAL, like touch the hem of his garment and I know I'll be whole, touch Jesus's and you'll be whole, healed, heal like a master and a slave. That was really, oh yeah, and 3 strikes and you're out, no matter what you did wrong, even if you were selling marijuana and you were caught 3 times, or you stole something, or you're caught stealing something from a 7-Eleven or something like that. Oh no, that reminds me, you go to jail for life. Never mind that, that was mass incarceration. Never mind that, but also Joe Biden said that when you go into a 7-Eleven, you better speak Pakistani. Otherwise, nobody's going to understand you. It's like, talk about racism. This guy has got racism in spades. Let me say that again. Racism in spades. And he's like very, very white. You can't really get whiter than this. So he's got a lot of flaws, and there is so much video on him whispering into the ear and touching little girls and caressing their hair. The older women can walk away. It's irritating, but you can walk away. No matter who he is, you can walk away and say, enough. If he's gotten you into it like Bill Clinton did with Juanita Broderick and bit her lip and raped her, that was really bad. But the women still threw him a party on the Capitol steps when the impeachment hearing, whatever, was over with, because he signed in partial birth abortion. That's great, almost like right up to pregnancy, you could kill that baby. They were so happy about that. That was really great. So, and the women loved him. They just loved him. So you could see here the hypocrisy here. That, an older woman, if you got her into a room and you overpowered her like Bill Clinton did, and Paula Jones exposed himself to, but a little girl is, these girls are taught to be polite. And it is the creepiest feeling. I cannot tell you, whispering right into the ear, right through your hair, that hot breath. And I've woken up from dreams and I can still hear that. Frightened to death, as if I was listening to the devil whisper into my ear. And I wake up from it. Whispering my name. You never forget it. It really is to say, well, there's other things as far as pedophiles go that are very, very, that's much worse, which I know that as well. But I'm telling you, something like this is not harmless. Something like this is very harmful, and you never get over it. You think that, no, you never get over it. This guy should not be president. And of course, you've got that Kamala Harris who's screaming telling us, she's throwing these, like she hasn't taken her Paxil or lorazepam or whatever the hell, Klonopin, whatever it is she takes for anxiety. She forgot to take it that day. There's always that underlying current with Kamala Harris, whose family, the father's side, were plantation owners who owned black slaves. She's she's passing herself off as, but she's not. It's her mother's from India, and that's where she gets a little more melanin from. She's really the, child of slave owners, African slave owners. But she's like talking about Trump, Trump being on TV, and you scream and start talking to an inanimate object. Did you hear that? If I find it, I'll leave a link. But I heard that, and I'm like, God, this woman is whacked. I mean, she doesn't have that anti-anxiety medication. She better drink a lot. I suggest red wine. It's got reverse resveratrol in it, which makes you younger. And it's got antioxidants. And if you drink it slowly, it just relaxes you. Whether if you drink white wine, it's got a lot of sugar in it, it goes to your bloodstream faster. You get drunk much quicker. You'll have a much worse headache. Who knows what you're going to do because you're a girl and that's way too drunk, way too fast. Then it wears off quicker. But if you want the effect to really last, you just drink a little all night. And it'll keep your anxiety down. But she's a real basket case. Never mind that she was a mistress and got 2 jobs, upper and upper, bumping her up, being a mistress to a married man. Anyway, I just want to read this one more time, Joe Biden. We really have to put the nail in this coffin. But like I said, if Bloomberg is thinking of running, and I'd say that because he is more intelligent than anybody, Beto O'Rourke. He's a whole video on his own. That guy is a whack. And his wife looks like she's wearing a wig. See, they're sitting next to each other and he's talking. Of course, he's an idiot. He's like a surfer dude. Surfer dude / Kennedy, right? But none of the bad of the Kennedy and also that thing that he wrote when he was in high school about mowing children down, this fantasy with a car. I mean, there's no way you can vote this man in as president. I mean, his wife looks like she's not well, and she's got a wig on. It's almost like she doesn't, and she's got her head turned and she's looking at him, smiling with this plastic smile. And it's the kind of scene that if you ever seen movies, when Hollywood used to make fun of politicians to expose how fake they are, how fake politicians are. They say one thing and do another. Now everybody loves politicians because they have experience, because Trump had no experience as a politician. Hollywood has changed, but this was the exact scene, but in real life. Maybe they're both made out of plastic. Right before our eyes, as if a movie, Hollywood, had made this scene up because it looks so fake, like you'd put it in a movie, a comedy or something like that. But that guy is a whole video on his own. I mean, oh my God, the surfer dude Kennedy, without any talent of a surfer dude or the Kennedys, They were smart, I'll give you that, even though they bugged Martin Luther King's bedroom. So they would catch him cheating, and they sent it to his wife, Coretta Scott King, and that devastated her. But you see, that's how great the Democrats are. Even your best Democrat ever was bad. I don't know why you're with this party if you're a Democrat. Anyway, let me drink one more time. This is just some green tea. Okay, I just want to read this one more time. So if you don't like racism, remember all the other things I said that he said that were very racist. Okay. I mean, this guy's such an intellect. Wow. Put some likes in there. If you put some likes in there, he could make himself a little bit like Ocasio-Cortez and Beto O'Rourke. Swear to God, just add a few likes and a little surfer, maybe wear a surfer t-shirt. I mean, you got the first mainstream. There's never been a mainstream African American before. Really. I mean, I can think of, like, my head is filling with thousands of mainstream African Americans that speak extremely well and are extremely intelligent. I mean, you got the first, but as far as he's concerned, he's never seen anyone before. He's never seen any African American or Black American that is like this. He's just like, what world? You've been living in whitey world for so long that you've never seen anything past whitey world to know that there are hundreds of thousands of millions, probably. There are some that are from Nigeria, most intelligent people in the world. I mean, really. I mean, just like, you're living in whitey world. I mean, you got the first in his world, it's the first time he's seen it, mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and nice looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man. At some point, I think he thought he was going to end his sentence, so he kept adding the ands. And then he kept thinking of more things that were good about Obama. And nice looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man. Well, you want to know something? It was one of those nightmare storybooks that we lived for 8 years, and we're still living because of this Mueller investigation, which, thank God, is over. So that's, I'll add the links below to all these little, I'll grab a few videos and I'll add the links about Joe Biden. And that should, if you get this out, that's all the information you really need to end this guy's candidacy. And he wants, Sour Grapes Stacey Abrams to be his running mate, really? My God. You could pick a lot better. You really, she thinks she won the election just like Hillary. They should go get themselves a house by the sea and live happily ever after. I swear to God, the two. Okay. Anyway, goodbye, everybody. Thank you for joining me. And please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Thank you.